Andy, welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about investing, and today I'm going to be talking about Facebook, ticker symbol FB. Now Facebook has been doing extraordinarily well recently. The price has risen so much, but is it still a buy? Today's video I'm going to be talking about Facebook, where I see the stock going, what's going on with the stock, like the key factors that's affecting it at the moment. And I'm also going to attempt to do a DCF stock analysis. So I built a little model and I want to analyze where I think Facebook stock's going to be in 2030, what the price is going to be, discounted back to the present, what it's worth today. And I'm going to be showing you the model, my assumptions, and what the price is. Guys, if you like the soundtrack in this video, please subscribe to my friend 2J's channel. There's a lot more great soundtracks on his channel, so please don't forget to check it out. Also guys, if you like the content in this video, please don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. Currently, Facebook has a stock price of around 950 billion, very close to the 1 trillion mark, and it is the 5th most valuable company on the S&P 500. Go guys, here is my DCF template for the model. And just to summarize, you can see I've calculated a price. So the intrinsic value of Facebook is around 405.8 according to my calculations. And I think the share price in 2030 is going to be around the 884.3 mark. So I'm going to talk you through how I've arrived at these figures, some of the assumptions I've made, and how I've constructed this model. So like a brief overview about it. So moving on to the next tab, which is the DCF valuation model tab over here. What I've done is I've firstly inputted all the revenue figures for Facebook. You can see that all the yellow cells that I've highlighted is everything that I've put in manually. All the EBIT figures, so that's the earnings before interest and tax from Facebook. So all this information and data is very readily available on Google, Yahoo Finance, or various other sites. You can look at the company statements as well, whatever you prefer. Free cash flow as well, that's in there too. Shares outstanding and cash equivalents. So these figures I've all put in, and using this historical data and a few assumptions about the future, I'm gonna attempt to predict the stock price. Over here in this box, you can see the assumptions that I've used. So I'm using a revenue growth rate in years 1 to 5 of 20%. You can see over there that the average growth rate in 2017 to 2020 is around 33.16%. So I thought, why not? I'll use 20%. Whether or not I think Facebook revenue is going to go by 20%, I'm going to talk a little bit about the factors later on in this video. But right now, I'm going to pick a figure of 20% for the first 5 years. Years 5 to 10, I'm going with 10%. I'm assuming an EBIT margin of 35%. You can see over there that that's a good estimate of what the margin is. So around 35% of revenue will go towards EBIT. Another assumption I'm using is a cash growth rate of 10% and a terminal value multiple of 20 times. So if I click on this cell over here, so this is multiplying cell X8 by AB23. So X8 is a TV multiple that I'm using, and that's basically generated again from historical data. You can see that over there in cell J34 to M34, and I think 20 is like a good estimate of what I think the EV to EBIT multiple is. So that's the enterprise value is 20 times higher than earnings before interest and tax. So I'm going to be using that figure to ultimately calculate the share price. So now this terminal value is basically the earnings before interest and tax multiplied by 20, giving a figure of around 2 trillion. Using this 2.4 trillion figure, adjusting it for debt and cash, that gives me the enterprise value. So the enterprise value is the market capitalization minus cash plus debt. So you can think of it as the value one would pay to acquire Facebook. So I think the enterprise value in 2030 is going to be around 2.4 trillion. Using all of these assumptions, I get a market capitalization in 2030 of 2.5 trillion, and then if I if I divide that by the shares outstanding, which is about 2.8 billion over there, that's the same figure that was the shares outstanding in 2020. That gives me the figure of 884.28 that you see over there. Thing to note is I'm not assuming any share buyback. Say for example, if Facebook buys back some shares, then that would obviously decrease the shares outstanding available. So if I adjust this figure by I don't know, say like minus 10% over there, then you can see the price increases dramatically. But I'm not going to do that for this model. I'm going to keep it as the shares are going to remain the same. I'm going to leave it at 0% over there. Now, so what I'm saying is basically in 2030, the price of Facebook is going to be 884.3, right? So what's the price of it today? In finance, it's very important to discount the future value to the present. And in my calculations, I'm using a discount rate of 10%. So I want to achieve a percentage return every year of 10%, which is roughly the average of S&P 500. So using this 10% discount rate, I've estimated Facebook to have a value of 405.8. Current Facebook share price, I think it's around the 330 range. This model estimates the price of Facebook to be around 405, which is higher than what the current price is. So if you were to take this model at face value, then the current price of Facebook is actually really good. So you're buying Facebook at a discount. However, it's important to apply a margin of safety, which I've done over there. I'm using 25% margin of safety, so that's basically 75% of the price that I've calculated is 304.37. Take this with a pinch of salt. With the DCF model, the model is only as good as your assumptions. If I change this to say a ridiculous growth rate of 50%, right? It's crazy. Then look at the Facebook intrinsic value now. Like it's ridiculous. Now if I change the growth rate to 0% in years 1 to 5, now you're going to see that the price of Facebook falls sharply. So now what the growth rate is, that's very important for you to decide. But I think based on what Facebook's doing at the moment in terms of its ad side of things, as well as its dip into e-commerce, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later on, I think a growth rate of 20% in years 1 to 5 is reasonable, and then 10% in years 5 to 10 is not too bad as well, given how much cash it's got in its books at the moment as well. So I think that's for me, I think that's a pretty conservative estimate. You can see over there it's rising a lot higher than that. So that's the figure I'm going to go with. So guys, I have shown you my DCF model. Now it's important to talk about the wider market, and is the growth rate 20% that I've used, is that a good growth rate to use based on what's going on with Facebook right now and where the industry is heading in general? Facebook earnings shot up 93% in the first quarter versus a year earlier, 93 cents ahead of the consensus. Revenue surged 48% to 28.1 billion, fueled by a 30% jump in ad prices. The bigger picture is Facebook advertisers are using the platform like never before. The group of advertisers has grown to more than 10 million businesses. Meanwhile, growth outside of the US continues. Worldwide daily active users rose to 1.878 billion on the Facebook platform versus 1.845 billion the prior quarter. Across all platforms, daily active users rose to 2.7 billion from 2.6 billion in Q4. Facebook has warned that ongoing concerns about privacy and changes in mobile operating platforms could start to impede ad revenue and targeted advertisements to consumers. A bright spot in Facebook's future is a new e-commerce business it's just launched, Facebook Shop. It's already got around 250 million of active users, and I think the timing's great, so that could be a source of revenue growth in the future. Another thing to know about Facebook stock is its run-in with the regulators. So they're concerned about its competitive position in the market. Obviously, Facebook owns WhatsApp and Instagram, and the regulators are worried it's turning into a monopoly. And there's currently a lawsuit which is being filed to break the businesses up. In terms of the share price of Facebook, a lot of analysts are saying that this isn't actually a real concern because the separate parts of Facebook are worth more than the combined entity at the moment. So even if Facebook was to get broken up, I don't think that's going to cause a massive loss to investors. So arguably the most important part of this video, is Facebook a buy now? In a nutshell, I would not buy it now. The price has just risen way too much recently. However, it's something definitely to keep on the radar. So if there is a pullback, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to buy it. Me personally, I already invest in the S&P 500, so a large portion of my portfolio is already Facebook. But look, it's a solid company. You saw the fundamentals. The revenue is rising consistently. The earnings are rising consistently as well. There's a lot of scope. I think Facebook dating is another one that I didn't mention. So there is definitely scope for the business to grow in the future, and that growth rate could be justified. In 2030, I wouldn't be surprised if the price of Facebook reaches around 800 or so. For me right now, like, I'm gonna just hold off for a minute. I'm gonna keep a close eye on Facebook, and if there is any pullback, I'm gonna go in straight away. Guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give me a like and comment as well if you have any questions, or if you want to know more about my DCF model. Perhaps I didn't explain something as well as you would have liked. Do let me know in the comment below. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.